Well, bowling fans, third year in a row we have it. The Wisconsin Women's Open here at New Berlin Bowl, Dwight. Another great field. 3 bowlers from Illinois, our bottom 3 seeds in the step ladder. 2 seeds from Wisconsin. 2 returning champions. Our initial champion, Rochelle from Illinois. And last year's champion, top seed again this year, Jaime Cullen.
Right. Well, you know, Phil, the old cliche is cream rises to the top. So you got, hopefully the 2 girls from Wisconsin go through it, but the 3 girls from Illinois look pretty good.
Couple new faces on TV, couple of faces you've seen before. Nothing but great matches on the Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by our friends at Red Bull, and we'll be back with our opening stepladder match in just a moment, so make sure you stay tuned.
The Jewelry Center, the largest camellia retailer in Wisconsin, has upgraded to a camellia boutique. Find a greater selection of the latest styles of beads, bracelets, and earrings. Only at the Jewelry Center on Layton at 76th Street in the Layton Plaza.
Join Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Van the Man McNeil, Dwight 5-time Albrecht, and other guests as they talk about the PBA Tour and local bowling on the Spare Time Bowling Show, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. The Milwaukee area's bowling party specialist, whether for a small group or a large fundraiser. Daily food and beverage specials, whether you're on the lanes or inside the spacious alehouse. Whether for a casual meeting, business luncheon, or wedding reception, our banquet and meeting facilities can fit your needs. New Berlin Ale House, West Cleveland Avenue, New Berlin. The lane condition for the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull is Kegel Bowling's Abbey Road. It's a lane pattern that's 40 feet in length. You can give different ways to get to the pocket, but it's about half as flat as what you would see normally during league, which basically means the woman will have to make shots twice as good as normal in order to hit the pocket and carry those strikes. Well, opening match, Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by Red Bull, the 2012 edition. And Dwight, we just talked about the oil pattern, Abbey Road. We got to see all the ladies practice before it started. And any changes from what we just talked about on the base oil pattern just from watching them practice?
No, Phil, I think the girls are going to attack it similar to what they did during the qualifying rounds. But I interviewed all the girls before the match started, and they all had the same philosophy of going direct, trying to play outside. And that's what they try to do in the qualifying rounds. But then what ended up happening is that the shot ended up breaking down for a lot of the girls. And a lot of the girls talked about, before the match started here today, that it depended on who they bowled with or who they fouled, determined what the shot was going to do once they got on TV. They felt, with all 5 of them playing the same line, that the lanes will break down correctly.
Yeah, and you can see, as you just talked about, Dwight, Samantha starting real straight on that shot, basically right over about 8th board. You see the ball breaking point about 10th board and just doesn't have enough to kick that 10 out.
Correct. The exit focal point on the lane for Abbey Road would be about 9th board, so anywhere around 6, 7, 8, 9, right around that range, depending on your physical game, is, I guess on paper, ideally how you want to play Abbey Road.
So Samantha starts real nice there with a strike, and first time we had the Wisconsin Women's Open, we didn't call it that. We called it the Dairylands Lady Classic, but our inaugural champion, Rochelle from Buffalo Grove, Illinois, making another appearance on the TV shows.
You know, it was really great to see a lot of the ladies from Chicago drive up for the tournament, and obviously you could tell they're very well coached, either by boyfriends or husbands down in Chicago. They all have very great games. Rochelle is what I call that slow looper. You can see her speed is very, very slow compared to Samantha. She likes to hook the lane a little bit more, where Samantha's a little firmer on her speed, likes to play more up the boards.
Yeah, Rochelle, her husband, Rich, owns Chicago Bowler Supply. You see that on her jersey right there. She's also coached by Greg Zika. Greg we've seen on the Wisconsin Championship doubles in the past. So, you know, a couple of really good bowlers to have backing you up there when you need an arsenal or you need some coaching.
Right, and here's a prime example of 2 girls trying to play Abbey Roads differently, even though, again, on paper, it should be an exit point around 9th board. You're going to see Rochelle a little deeper, maybe around 11, going to try to maybe loop the lane a little bit more, and you're going to see Samantha maybe even outside of 8. And the main reason why, Phil, is the difference in the physical games.
So I want to thank Red Bull again for their sponsorship of this year's edition of the Wisconsin Women's Open. So make sure you go to redbullusa.com, because it's not just about bowling with Red Bull. That guy that jumped out from 120,000 feet a couple months back, that was amazing to watch.
But can he bowl, Phil?
I wouldn't bet against it, I'll tell you that. So a nice 5 steps by Rochelle. Sets up nicely at the line, but that one's going to hook a little early on her, and once again comes a little high, 6-pin.
Yeah, Abbey Road is an interesting oil pattern to bowl on. You have to have the right ball choice. You got to play the right portion of the lane. And the biggest thing is, I felt it was like their version of Chameleon. It changed quick. With Chameleon, if you thought that you had it figured out, the next game it's gone. And that's what I saw during the qualifying rounds with the girls. It's like they get lined up on one pair, they move to the next pair, and they're lost. And it's just amazing how it could play different from pair to pair, but that's what happens when you're following bowlers maybe not playing the correct portion of the lane.
You know, and it was a tough condition. There wasn't any complaining out there by the bowlers. They knew what pattern they were bowling all before they got here today. It took a 195 average to make the first cut when we cut it down to the top 10 bowlers out of 39 that participated, and it took just over 202 to make the TV show. So it was really spare making today. You knew that you couldn't give the pocket away. I know Samantha talks about that in her bio sheet. Just stay in the pocket and leave makeable spares. And as an ex-college player, she knows about that real well. Junior Team USA in 2011. I mean, she's a very skilled player.
Interviewing the girls before the show was interesting to see, because I asked them all the same question, but at different times. While they were practicing, they all answered it the same, Phil. That was the craziest thing, is they all said that they were going to go direct. But Rochelle's really not going direct. She's trying to actually slow loop it. But I think you're going to see a lot of the girls try to make that outside line work.
Now, I remember back a couple of years ago at Rochelle when we were at another center, and it was older wood lanes, and she really did loop it there on the condition we had out at that time. But synthetic surface here plays a little bit tighter, a lot tighter of an oil pattern, and for Rochelle, as much as she likes to loop it, it's pretty tight for her. It's still a pretty tight line. The 2013 bowling game, bringing it back for one day at New Berlin Bowl. It's going to be a fun tournament. It's a handicap tournament. You get to drop your low game. You still could even make the TV show, even if you don't bowl good, by a random drawing. So if you need that information, give New Berlin Bowl a call, and they'll get you everything you need for the 2013 bowling game on New Year's Day. And that's 3 in a row that Samantha really didn't want to see at this point in time, because that's 3 straight 10 pins, and none of them were real ringing 10 pins. They were all pretty weak, Dwight.
Yeah, I saw this, Phil, during qualifying, and the biggest thing I kept thinking was, when I'm watching the girls, especially in the first couple games, is not enough surface, not enough surface, not enough surface. All the girls were trying to make the polished ball or the weaker ball work from the outsides, and I was standing back there going, how would I play it if I was bowling on this? And the first thing that came through my mind was more ball. That's how I looked at it as.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of then the pattern could change, as you said, so quickly.
Instantly.
They're going from pair to pair. All of a sudden you take some surface off the ball, and that ball doesn't match up the next game. So it was a real cerebral game out here today, no doubt about that.
Again, it reminded me of Chameleon. You had to make fast, quick adjustments, and you had to move not a couple boards, but more than a couple boards, almost like an arrow or more at a time, and it all varied from pair to pair.
So let's see what Rochelle can do here. We're still looking for our first strike of this match. And once again, creeps a little high, breaks up the split, very makeable spare. And this was really the key today to, it wasn't exciting bowling, it wasn't 250s getting thrown out there a lot today, but it was grind it out, make your spares, keep moving on.
That's the word I used all day. It was a total grind.
And you're going to see that a lot on this show. I mean, you're going to see 190s and 200s winning matches.
Correct. The only thing that we saw in qualifying is the more they bowled on it after that first initial game, they really got ugly. So you could possibly see the first game possibly be the highest game, and they might struggle from that point if it's the same as qualifying.
Spare Time radio show on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Our buddies Sparky and Van. Along with yourself, Dwight. Have a great show on Sunday mornings.
I was waiting for
that. always a good listen, and always, especially with the PBA Tour starting up now.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, you got to listen. Sparky was out there for the World Series of Bowling, and he'll give you all the inside information you're not going to get anywhere else.
Just wish we had a longer season on TV, Phil.
Well, we always go year-round here, thanks to our friends on Time Warner Cable Sports 32, and we got a strike, Dwight.
Yes.
We got one out there.
Rochelle is, in practice, was trying to make the outside line work, and it's amazing that she's actually now moved in. In practice, she was going with her hammer arson and playing more around first arrow like the other girls. I think she's still with the arson, but you can see she's trying to make that 11th board work, Phil, and she's getting close.
Yeah, I mean, that ball was about 10th board at the break point where you saw it on the replay camera, and so she might have to be careful on that, because if it starts breaking a little early and a little quick, she could easily go through the nose. And that's the first errant shot we've seen from Samantha so far, and just leaving a 6'10".
Yeah, just got a little left of target. Again, when you have that over ratio, it ain't going to take much to miss left to where it's going to make the ball creep high. The biggest thing is obviously if you got a flatter pattern that is playing that tough, you still want to have some swing to the right, and this pattern also didn't allow for a lot of missed right either. You had to be pretty perfect. Big break.
Yeah, and that's pretty perfect on that 6-pin right there, almost too perfect and barely getting the 10 out. So keeps herself down by 1 pin so far in the match. And
the other scenario here, Phil, is it's different in qualifying without the lights on for these girls. I mean, there's quite a glare in the lanes when the lights go on, and so 3-1 might play completely different in qualifying with the lights off compared to TV with the lights on.
And that one, once again, she forced that one a little bit on the bottom of her swing. And 5-9, once again, something that's choppable out there. You see her take the wrist brace off because she's going to take away as much hook as she can and switches to that polyester ball for spares.
8 possible frames fill in, and we have 1 strike to show.
And it's really not that much different from a lot of what we saw today during the qualifying. And it's a tight match. We saw those all day. We saw it in the match play semifinals. We saw tight matches. We saw bowlers staying clean to win matches, and that's probably what it's going to take for this match. We're done with the first half of our opening match for the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull. Join us back from New Berlin Bowl in just a moment. Halfway through our opening match here at New Berlin Bowl for the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open presented by our friends at Red Bull. And Dwight, Rochelle, Blake looking to double up here, looking to get the 2nd strike in the match.
Well, again, the thing, Phil, is she's playing 11th board and all the other girls are way out. She might have an advantage. And that one, it looked like she pulled a little bit and she got away with it.
Yeah, dead flush. Let's see if we get a replay on that one, because I think that one at breakpoint was around 12th board.
Which is 1 board left, 2 boards left to target.
Yeah, which is, it was a little farther out, I guess, than that. But you can definitely see it sat up. High flush in the pocket. No doubt she was getting that 10 pin out. So moving over to lane 25 here at New Berlin Bowl. Pair we normally don't use for TV finals. We're usually on 23 and 24 here. Move things over a little bit. And one thing we did notice while the ladies were practicing, 25 seemed to play a little bit tighter for them than 26 did.
The other thing that our viewers don't know much, Phil, is New Berlin Bowl actually, when it was Cougie's New Berlin, was 24 lanes. 25 to 28, Phil, was actually the banquet hall. So 25 to 28 is actually a completely different foundation than 1 to 24.
That's right, because they had to fill in the lanes when they had 1 to 24. When they built the new Berlin Bowl, they filled in where it used to drop down and level it out. So, so that is the old foundation. It's a very good point, Dwight. I forgot about that over the years.
And that always, we heard the league bowlers always tell us that 25 to 28 played different than the rest of the pairs, and that makes sense because it's on a completely different foundation.
So there we go. With Samantha, not the way she wanted to get her first strike on the board, but hey, it happens.
Correct.
You got to take them and run with them and hopefully double them up and get yourself back in the match. She's already down by 23, staying clean, but Rochelle's got that 3-bagger she's working on up there.
You could see she made a ball change. She had the crossroad. And now you could clearly see she went to the rotogrip berserk, and that's what she was throwing in practice, and that's what she told me she was going to start with, was the berserk. When the lights went on, she went back to the crossroad.
Great shot, followed up, made a little adjustment off her.
We got a match.
Yeah, off that crossover strike, and there we go. 13 pins is the difference.
Amazing what a ball change or a ball choice would do, Phil.
Well, and it's just a matter of carrying that 10 out. She didn't throw bad shots the first 3 frames. Samantha was right in the pocket, but if the ball wasn't in the proper phase of motion, the 3 phases you always like to talk about, it's got to be in that roll phase, and without a strong roll, it's a 10-pin.
That's exactly it. I always say to my students, if you do not see what I call the banana-shaped motion, no matter what condition you're on, you're just not going to score. When we watch the pros on TV, I mean, an avid bowler is going to know right away within the first 2 or 3 shots who's going to win the match just by who's got the best motion out there on the lane. So, no different here.
No different. And Rochelle looking to stay clean. Moves all the way over the left side of the approach. Switches to a shinier bowling ball. I don't know if it's polyester or not, but definitely much shinier. Yeah, it looks like a polyester ball.
All the girls from Chicago, Phil, I mean, even in match play, I was watching them, all have beautiful games. I mean, you get to this point, you better have a good game. I mean, because obviously for a tough pattern like this, it did take some pretty good scoring to make the cuts.
It's kind of funny how the top 2 were from Wisconsin, and 3, 4, and 5 were from
That's what I thought.
Illinois,
too.
and
we
6 of
talked
the
about
top
that in our opening. Yes,
Yeah, 6 of the top 10 overall were from Illinois. So we'll have the cashers across the screen later on. The rest of the bowlers that didn't make the TV show but made the semifinals. And wow, talk about the bad break in the match right there.
It is, and this door wide open for Samantha.
So
Bad break, but that, you know what, Phil? That's common for this place. I leave a ton of pocket 7-10s there. Just doesn't get the kick off the kickboard. The pin just falls flat right into the flat gutter.
Well, it was weird because the 5 pin got stopped by the 2 pin.
Yes.
And that's something you don't see very often. Usually it's the 5 going behind it or just in front of it. The 5 actually got hit by the 2 pin and didn't go anywhere from here on out.
I left 3 in one night here. And after I left the third one, I would put my hands up in the air. I'm like, what do you got to do? You know? So it gets very frustrating because you hit the pocket, you did everything you were supposed to do, and then you get rewarded with that.
Want to thank our friends at the Jewelry Center, the champion today, receiving a nice pendant worth $500 from them. So
just gorgeous.
Want to thank all the staff over there at the Jewelry Center for everything they do. And if you're looking for jewelry for your holiday shopping needs, visit the staff over there. They'll take care of you real well. And wow, how about handing it right back to Rochelle?
Yeah. No, I don't want it. You can have it. No, I don't want it. You can have it.
This is a little more makeable though, but it's probably I'd still say about 5-1 odds for Samantha here. And
simple, she cut it short, Phil.
It's great. The ball's great for the carry, as we saw for the last shot,
Yes.
last 2 shots actually for. We'll even count the crossover.
Right.
But when it gets that little slow and it gets a little extra entry angle, you come high and it just slices that 3-6-10 right off.
Yep. She held on that one a slight bit too long and pulled it a little bit in the heads.
So here we go.
Open.
Yeah, 2 frames to go. Her maximum score right now is 208. So Rochelle going spare strike or strike spare would be in the 2-0s herself. So
when an opponent opens like that, you have to jump all over it. And obviously Samantha did it, and that could possibly cost her. It could have been a completely different match if she strikes on that last frame.
Gets up here. Nice shot again, and wow!
Almost a 410, Phil.
That's surprising for light in the pocket. Usually you get that 10 pin to rattle around a little bit and wasn't even close, and watch that head pin just not even barely get to the 4. Wow, that's amazing.
Strange.
So yeah, just one of those things.
Describe it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you're like one shot a night, you get one of those carries, you just go like, really? That just happened to me? And yeah, unfortunately, she got in the 9th frame of a match where it was crucial to strike for staying in it.
Yeah, and she knows it's must-strike situation time. You know, the 9th frame strike is your foundation frame for the setup for the 10th. She threw it there, just a bad break. But you could see she trusted that one a board or 2 right, and that's what you need to do. So I agreed with the ball choice or the ball change she made. I just think maybe she made it a little too late.
Well, let's see if Rochelle can get a couple of marks here with good counts on them. She can advance because Samantha's max score right now is 198. As we said a little bit earlier, if she goes mark, she's in the 2-0s, and that's a great way to get set up for frame number 10.
You can almost tell she's almost purposely playing that fallback with the weaker ball that doesn't have a lot of drive on the back ends, because again, typically when you move in on a flatter pattern, the ball's going to even hook harder off the spot, and she might be using a ball that's fairly old. So it's got a little oil in the shell. It's weaker on the back ends.
So yeah, it looks like she's using an Ebonite game breaker. So yeah, something that is a little older and smoother.
Yep, correct. I think she knows her equipment very well, and I think her husband, which helps her with ball choices, also knows her equipment real well. And that's what you need with the coach in the back.
That's a huge break to get all that mess out from behind the 2 pin. Because now with a spare here and a 7 count, it's going to advance her into the next match.
Yeah, so she could have left the dinner bucket or the 2548. 2547, I'm sorry. But yeah, she gets away with just the 2 pin. Big break. You're right, Phil.
So this should be a relatively simple spare for Rochelle.
Does everything right. She throws her plastic ball even at the 2 pins. A lot of amateurs out there, Phil, will just use the plastic ball for 6 and 10s. She does it the right way. She's using the plastic ball for all her spares, and that's how it should be done.
So waiting in the wings is Danela Martorano out of Streamwood, Illinois. And if Rochelle can get 9 pins on this ball, we'll have our next match set, Dwight. Real low at the line. Nice knee bend, nice post, and almost another 7-10.
But that's enough to win.
Yeah, I think she might be making a line change in that next time she's up. So.
And there's your grind out 201, which is what we saw during qualifying.
Well, Samantha will be taking home a $200 prize today for 5th place, $800 on top, and that pendant from the Jewelry Center. We're going to save a little time. We're going to get out of this match and be back with match number 2 from the Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull in just a moment, so make sure you stay tuned for that. In 1993, the bowling game disappeared from the Wisconsin airwaves, never to be heard from again. Until now. For one day only, New Year's Day, New Berlin Bowl, the 2013 bowling game. Go to newberlinalehouse.com/bowling or call 262-641-0016 to get all the details on the 2013 bowling game. One match in the books here for New Berlin Bowl for the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull. Danela Martorano coming on board, and she's going to let Rochelle Blake start on lane 25 here, Dwight.
And again, Phil, both being from Illinois or Chicago, I'm sure that they have had past experience bowling against each other in other finals or tournaments, so I'm sure that they're both aware of each other's game.
So it looks like Rochelle made a ball change here after that 10th frame adventure. Definitely not the game breaker in her hand. And something with a little more pop on the back end, but I think she just let it a little farther right than she wanted.
Right. Again, with that flatter type of pattern, Phil, you just can't miss right. It's just not going to come back.
So
still trying to make that inside line, though, work for her. And this is typically that second, third, and let's say fourth games of qualifying, Phil, where we started to see the transition on Abbey Road.
This is unusual. She takes the polyester ball to go at the bucket, and that's the problem. When it gets a little left, there's no way you're going to get angled to maybe get the 4-pin to kick out the 8.
Correct.
But if you're going to open in the first frame, there's still 279 out there.
Yes, correct.
Which I've done once in my life. All the times I've said that. Still 279 out there. So
trying to stay positive.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think both of the girls would be happy with 200 here, Phil.
Exactly. They'll probably get into the next match. It only took 201 for the first match for Rochelle. You know, we have Danela Martorano out. First time we've seen her on TV here.
And again, in practice, Danela, I thought, was lighting them up with the lucid, playing that outside line, and she starts off with her marble pearl. So I'm just like, okay, she had good ball reaction. I can't go up there and tell her that, but she had good ball reaction in practice with the lucid, but obviously made a change right at the end to go start off with the marble pearl.
Yeah, maybe a couple of the Samantha shots where she went high and left splits or left something a little bit ugly out there with that extra pop on the back end. Maybe that shit scared her off a little bit.
Yeah, again, Phil, you can look at these girls. They're very well coached, very trained, work hard with their games. She has a beautiful 5-step approach, just nice evenly spaced steps, very nice and solid post at the finish, and a very good bowler.
So once again, I want to thank the staff here at New Berlin Bowl, Landon Karras, the bowling manager here, Steve Chard, the general manager, all the help they had us getting this set up for the Wisconsin Women's Open for the 2nd consecutive year.
Great turnout, Phil.
Absolutely. 39 of the best ladies from Wisconsin and Northern Illinois attended. More than double what we had last year, and I think as we keep growing, I think we might even double again next year, Dwight.
Yeah, and I think the ladies will spread the word, Phil, you know, that it's not going to be a cakewalk. You got to bring your A game. Spare shooting will get you to the semis and to the TV finals. And at the end of the day, the person that won it really earned it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make the cut out of 1 in every 4 bowlers, if you can make that cut and double your money from when you showed up, that's not a bad little payoff for a couple hours of work.
Absolutely not, Phil.
And just a little left on that spare attempt by Danela, so that's going to kind of even the matchup here if Rochelle can mark in frame number 2.
Yeah, she does that same strategy using a hard plastic ball for all her spares. I have found that to be the correct way of doing it when you are on a very flat, tougher type of condition. I will use my hooking ball for a 4 and 7 pin when I'm on an easy house shot, but not when I'm on a flatter 3-to-1 ratio type of pattern.
Nice hinge to start. She gets that ball in a hinge, and her push away just lets it drop down into her backswing, just creeps a little high again.
You can tell she's worked with it a long time, Phil.
She gets a moderate amount of ball speed with it, but she's got a game that if she had to bowl 18, 20 games in a day,
that's it.
She's going to be able to do it.
Yes. It looks a little mechanical at times, a little rigid. It's not very fluid with the swing, But, I mean, her head and her shoulders stay very steady except for that shot. Bad time to start talking about her physical game, but she lost her footing on that one. You can see for sure on that one. But otherwise, and that's the key to success, is keeping that head and that shoulder line as steady as possible.
Well, and then switching to a polyester ball, the ball's naturally going to go a little bit straighter, so if you have a little balance problem on the bottom of the swing, it's not going to overcorrect on the back end because of the built-in hook of a resin ball.
Correct. You kind of get away with it. Correct.
Looking for her first strike of this match in the third frame. Maybe a big move might be in order here because you got a bucket and then you got high, so maybe a little over-under starting to play. We did see that during qualifying where the changes that had to be made, as you mentioned, big changes, and it might be time for that.
Correct. And this is that ugly period. You know, I mean, Jamie's our top seed. And I was interviewing her in practice that Jaime really struggled early in qualifying, and she looked at me and she goes, "No, I didn't. I had 220 the first game." I go, "Well, that must have then been game 2, 3, and 4 because I saw her shaking her head a lot in games 2, 3, and 4." But again, that's just what it shows up on that first game on TV here. The first game we had a 201, and now the girls are really struggling to try to find the pocket.
900 Global providing bowling balls for the second place finisher today, along with the leading qualifier who was Jaime Cullen. She led the initial round of qualifying as well, so she got a 900 Global ball and 2-ball tote bag.
Yeah, and you can see clearly she's not getting, again, the phases of ball reaction. The ball's kind of hooking early and then nothing on the back. So the ball's not going through that skid hook, strong type of finish on the roll, if you want to call it, on the back. And because of that, boy, she's in jail early, Phil. She's got to make a change quick.
So looking to get at least 2 out of this. Gets the 2 to move on. Only going to leave herself down by about a dozen pins right now. So, but you don't want to be in the situation of, I got to wait for my opponent to open to get back in the match.
It's also the pace too. I mean, you're not setting a very good pace here, you know. So we got to get it going a little bit. At this point, you got to try something. You got to try a different ball choice, but you got to try something to get a little bit better motion than what you're doing. I mean, her physical game is beautiful, but if you're not getting the good ball motion, there we go. Now we finally get the strike going. But you have to have the ball motion to get the strikes. Yeah,
it seemed like she was just a little tighter on that, and the ball faced up a hair earlier. Got into the pocket. You can see nice strong roll right towards the end. Ball just barely hits the 5-pin and gets it over into the 4-7 zone.
Yep. I just see it's tough for the ladies that don't put a lot on the ball to get the ball to go through the motion. That's the thing. I saw a lot of ladies struggling to try to, even though this is 40 feet, Phil, for the length, a lot of women had a hard time getting the ball to finish on the back ends. And that's why I think advantage early right now with Rochelle, she has that ability to, what I again call slow loop the lane.
You can see right there, ball hold pocket, nice and firm. Matches her opponent in frame number 4, and we'll see if she makes a big move on lane 25 here, because that's the one she's really struggled on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 26, she's been 4-pin, make a little move back in the pocket. See right there, she knew that was high flush, just a matter of getting that 10 out.
Mm-hmm.
So, a little emotion on the sleeve there for Rochelle.
Well, that's the thing, Phil, is on a flatter type of pattern, you know either it's not going to be there or it's going to be there. On a house shot, when you can kind of get away with it, you have a 12 or 13 to 1 ratio.
That's just right.
Yep, and it's not going to come back. That's my point exactly. So I'll guarantee you 15 feet down the lane, she knew it never had a chance.
Yeah, she was probably in the zone she wanted to be in, but when you leak it 2 boards to the right, it's not going to bother coming back in this condition. And it could have been worse. I mean, that ball barely missed the head pin. She could have had a 2-4-10 there and really made the spare attempt probably twice as hard.
Correct.
So let's see what she can do here, getting into the commercial break for this game. Spare would be a nice way to finish it off. Nice balance at the line this time. And
bad break.
Just in front of it. That's going to pretty much even up this match, getting halfway through it. We're going to be back from New Berlin Bowl for the second half of our Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull. Match number 2 in just a moment.
If you like Camilio Pandora, you'll love Ticento Milano, the hottest jewelry fashion in Europe. Luxurious, fashionable, affordable. Ticento Milano this Christmas, only at the Jewelry Center on Layton at 76th Street in the Layton Plaza.
Danela Martorano coming up. Just got a big break sitting on the bench to get back in this match and even things up. And Dwight, if she can double here, she'll take a 10-pin lead.
Yeah, this is absolutely just what I was talking about, Phil. It's just have the door open. You got to jump all over it.
And that one never Never see. I'm surprised because that came out of her hand, and I'm like, that's got a pretty good shot at the pocket, and it just kind of floated at the break point. Yeah, it's exactly it.
Yeah, just fluffed all the way down the lane.
Yeah, and now a 2-4. We just talked about before the commercial break. If you knock the head pin out of a washout leave this 2-4-10, that makes it about 2 to 3 times tougher.
Yeah, I quote Mo Pinnell all the time, Phil, and I'll never forget one of his famous quotes. And his famous quote is, "You cannot out-execute bad ball reaction." And how true is it right now? As great as the physical shot as she threw, and didn't get very good ball reaction, you can't out-execute bad ball reaction.
Yeah, well, the good news, even after that bad frame for Danela, she's only down 12 pins. Her opponent's also working on open.
Correct.
So,
no, I don't want it. You can have it. No, you can have it. I don't want it. Right.
So if she can find a quick double here.
Yeah, so whoever catches the double could actually win the thing. Correct. You can see Rochelle's husband is talking to her, strategy-wise, every frame.
And I think the big move is going to have to be in order, whether it's a ball change or a line change.
Yes.
Because when you go back-to-back 2-10s or 2-4-10s,
yes,
and a huge break, you'll see in the replay here, head pin comes back off the wall, rolls into the 4, and the 4 takes the 2 out.
Yeah, big break. You just can't get the ball to face up. I just think that it's just not enough ball is what I currently see right now. I would love for her to. Wish I could yell at her and say, "Try the lucid," but I can't. We're behind the mic.
And it's 10. When it's 10 frames, it's just such a short period of time to make a gut decision and stick with it.
Yeah, and it goes by so quick. It seems like 10 frames, but it's like 2 frames. That when you're in that situation, it goes by so fast. And then after it's over, then that's when you second guess yourself. Oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that. And those 10 frames, Phil, you're right, go by so freaking quick. She's standing back there right now like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do?
Rochelle's been in the pocket pretty much on 26 so far, and
still there.
Solid 10. I mean, that's a wrap 10. That 6-pin went real low around the 10. So 3 for 3 on that lane in the pocket, and
You're
lane
right.
25 is the one that's just giving her absolute fits right now.
You're right. If she can figure out 25, boy, she might be unstoppable.
And it doesn't seem like the lines are that different between lanes. I mean, we've seen other shows here on Time Warner Cable Sports 32 where one lane is played 3, 4, 5 boards different than the other lane. It doesn't seem like the actual line is different. It seems like where the ball is breaking is different. Like it's breaking much later on 25 on the bowlers.
Correct. Had problems again with her footing with the plastic ball. Got away with it, but was unable to post the finish on there. But the biggest thing, Phil, is she's filling frames, and 9 spare is 190. And again, that sometimes is all it's going to take to win on this pattern.
So keeps herself nice and relaxed in that setup. You see those knees flex a couple of times. Arm just through the face. Wow. Yeah.
When you can't get the strike on the 1-3, you might as well try to throw the 1-2, I guess.
We're both just kind of speechless on that one. Just watch him go through the nose. You're expecting just a big, nasty split, and all of a sudden, head pick comes back across and takes out the 6 and the 10. And Rochelle knows how huge of a break she got there. And
right, but there's your prime example. If you move in on a flatter pattern, it's going to actually take off even harder on the back ends. You don't get that artificial fallback.
And now, as your opponent here, Danela's got to think that
great shot.
Yeah. It's like you can't let that good break your opponent got affect you. And she came back solid mentally, got that ball right in the pocket, but just that weak 10.
Mm-hmm. Just can't kick it out. Just not enough on that last 10 feet.
Yeah, you see the ball roll, hits the pocket, and it just isn't a strong enough roll, and it deflects basically into the 9-pin spot. Rochelle got up there, thought, strike, we're going to be close to even again, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, you could tell she was trying to steer it in with her body that last 10 feet.
And that is a big mental error at a wrong point in the match.
And it always happens, Phil, when you can't get anything going on that first ball. Then the spares are magnified. So it's just one of those nightmare games, I call it, where you want it over as soon as possible. Because now by this point, you're running out of time.
Well, there's still 182 out there. I mean, she has to find something in a hurry, so there's not a terrible game out there for her.
No.
182 could have a chance to win.
But
down
she's got to
24.
get going. Yeah.
As long as her opponent doesn't start stringing things together. And once again, on 25, the ball just seems to float a little bit on
Yes, it does. You can see that last 10 feet, it just doesn't want to make it up. So if she could get a ball that would skid through the first 30 feet like her Marble Pearl is, but get it to finish on the last 20 feet, well, then she'd be lined up.
Well, yeah, and watching both bowlers here, it seems to be a little tough on 25. If you get outside, it floats. If you get inside, it wants to break early on you.
Right.
Yeah. Then it's like,
tough.
It's a coin flip every time you get up there.
I think you hit it right in the head, Phil. I think who's going to figure out 25, even in this match or the matches to come, are going to be the one that's going to win the whole tournament.
So, well, Rochelle's in her good lane here. She's got to feel a little more relaxed getting up here with the amount of time that she's been in the pocket.
Beautiful footwork, nice evenly spaced steps. She walks perfectly straight, which is what you absolutely must have to improve your accuracy.
And a little flippy on the elbow there. It seemed like the elbow got out just a little bit. Chicken wing, as people like to call it, and if you just get
right at target,
and a little less on the revolutions on the ball,
and missing right at target, Phil, on this, we're talking a board or two.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. So let's see what she can do here. Stays with that polyester ball.
Better post.
Takes the chop out of play. Gets it done nicely. 24 pins, 2 frames to go. Basically, she's just got to think to herself, I stay clean.
Grind out. Yeah. That's right. Grind out the game, you'll win.
I'm in the buck 70s. The best Danela can do if she strikes out is 172. So, yeah, right now it's just a matter of staying clean for 1 frame. She knows she can get to the pocket on 10. It's not...
Does she go for the purpose crossover again? Again after she got the strike on the last time that way, or did she try to hit the pocket?
Well, she's
trying to hit the pocket.
And you could see you get that hard bite when you get it just enough to the left there. You get the hard bite, it goes through her nose, and you just see she's just, the frustration's starting to mount a little bit with that left lane for both bowlers.
Yeah, just a fine line, Phil. Just such a fine line.
And this proves once again that we talk about it on every show. Every lane's different. What they call lane topography. Just because we can't see it with the naked eye doesn't mean it doesn't affect the bowling ball.
Correct.
I mean, years ago at Kegel down in Florida, I mean, they have the super high-tech lanes that they can adjust the lanes left, right, up, down. They could you could actually see waves in the lanes if they wanted to do that. And they brought Norm Duke in. They had him bowl a couple of games. They took him out for 5 minutes. They adjusted the lanes from 40 thousandths of an inch to the left to 40 thousandths of an inch to the right. And he started crossing over, and he goes, how'd you guys oil a lane in 5 minutes? And that wasn't it.
Right. I'm sure he couldn't believe it when they came back and said, we never touched the lane for oil. We just tilted it 40 thousandths left to 40 thousandths right. But it shows you that 40 thousandths, that littlest bit, how much it can affect the ball's reaction. Correct. And that might definitely be the case with 25 and 26, Phil, especially with those 4 lanes being on a different foundation. It could be absolutely a topography thing. The lanes might be oiled exactly the same, but now you can see a prime example of what happens if one lane is a little out of tilt over the other.
And that's probably a spare she shoots at about once every 3 years. I mean, I shoot at a lot of 2, 4, 7, 8s being left-handed.
Correct.
But, yeah, that's a tough one, and that's pretty much going to be match over for Danela here.
And here's another thing, 2, 4, 7, 8 on a 3-to-1 ratio. Yeah, how the heck do you attack that? Now, here she goes back to the lucid, which is what I was thinking that she might use, and she had a pretty good look at it in practice. But then you can see that ball kind of turned up to the pocket a little bit.
And just enough to kick that 10 pin out late.
Yeah.
So
what if?
Yeah.
That's the thing. What if?
I'm sure in the car ride back to Streamwood, she's going to be probably thinking about that a little bit.
See how that ball turned up?
Yep. And you just watch that 6-pin just get enough on the 10 and roll it out.
And she just didn't have that look with her marble pearl. And this was the line that she was playing in practice. And I thought, wow, she has this ball reaction. She could be pretty tough.
So, is she going to roll that 2 out? Oh, boy, if that would have rolled out, she really would have been kicking herself.
Correct.
Carrying a break like that. So, well, she's going to end up, if she makes this with 136, and that's not the effort she wanted to get on TV today, but $250 for 4th place. Not a bad afternoon worth of work here at New Berlin Bowl for her.
Yeah, great physical game. There'll be another day for her.
Absolutely. Well, Rochelle Blake's going to advance on against Roxanne George in our semifinal match. Boy, no favorites there. They both won some pretty major titles out there in Wisconsin and Illinois, and I think that one's gonna be a little more of a shootout.
Yep. And when I was watching the lineups and I thought this could possibly happen, I thought, oh my goodness, Roxanne versus Rochelle, the twin sisters, Roxanne and Rochelle. I go, how appropriate, Roxanne versus Rochelle. Different Rochelle, though, this time around.
Exactly. It'll keep me from getting way too confused like the 2009 Badger Queens. We're going to save a little time on this match as well. We're going to get to a commercial break, and we're going to come back with the semifinal match for the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull from New Berlin Bowl in just a moment. I have a lot of viewers that ask me, why do you have so many of your tournaments at Castle Lanes? Well, Castle Lanes is a center that has an exceptional atmosphere. The charm of being in a Northwoods cabin while you bowl, an attentive staff on the lanes and in the lounge, all the big screen TVs and a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and being named in Bowler's Journal as one of the 95 places to bowl before you die, you have to bowl at Castle Lanes. That's why we love Castle Lanes, and you will too. Dwight's making a quick radio call for a series out of the booth for a second. So we got the semifinal match here from the Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by our friends at Red Bull. Rochelle Blake made it through 2 matches so far. Last one a little bit of a grind out, finishing in the 170s. And Roxanne George has got Rochelle starting off on lane 25, where she knows Rochelle started all the time. Dwight, thanks for jumping back in. I know you're a busy guy here at New Berlin Bowl.
No problem, Phil.
What do you think we got going in this match with, well, how about that? Rochelle strikes on the left lane to start with. Could be a little strategy backfire on Roxanne's part.
Yeah, we were trying to get the girls, to get the scores cleared because they practice between matches. And we're trying to get the arrows set up correct from the counter. And so kind of playing double duty here, doing the mic here and then trying to get the scores to work. But Rochelle made a ball change, talked to her and her husband between breaks on it, and she's gonna try an old matrix, he said.
Okay.
Old Ebonite Matrix, maybe just get a different look again, because obviously the last game she was not getting a good look. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, she did get that one a little farther right, and it did come back a little bit harder. So, and once again for Roxanne, starting to match off with a 10-pin. We saw that with Samantha Kelly the first game. You can get to the pocket on that right lane. It's just a matter of what way you can do to get that 10-pin out.
Out of all the girls, I think Rox has probably got the most amount of rotation or turn on the ball. You would think that would favor her the most, Phil, but not the way you want to start off, that's for sure.
Well, getting away a little bit easier today. You can see her twin sister, Rochelle Roventini, back there, now recently married to Tony Roventini. And this one caused me as many problems in 2009 when we had the Badger Queens finals, where it was Roxanne bowling against her sister Rochelle for the Badger Queens championship, and Roxanne barely squeaked out on top with that. And once again, you see on 25, it gets wide. It just doesn't want to give the effort back.
Yeah, maybe our viewers don't know, but Roxanne and Rochelle are twin sisters. Like my brother Dave and I, we're twin boys, obviously, twin men. And so, obviously, over the years, people have gotten us confused, too. And it's real easy with Roxanne and Rochelle. The last couple of years, they've changed their look a little bit. When they're, let's say, 10 years ago, they looked real similar from one to the other. So it was tough to tell them apart. But they both have different physical games in bowling. Roxanne has more leverage and more turn and rotation on the ball, and Rochelle's a little bit straighter, more direct.
Yeah, just a bad break on that super washout. 6-pin goes around the 10, and that is not the way you want to start a semifinal match with back-to-back opens, especially because Rochelle's got 26 locked in, and if she can keep figuring out 25, she could run away with this one early. And I'm kind of surprised she actually switched balls on both lanes. I thought with as consistent as she was on 26, with the last piece of equipment she had, she would have stuck with it. Right. But she's making it work, and is it going to get that 7 out? No.
And that's a strategy that her and her husband talked about between the matches in practice. And we'll have to see later if it does work out or it doesn't.
So yeah, that ball definitely gives her a little more angularity in the back end. It's just a matter of now you hope that ball just doesn't roll out a little too soon.
Correct.
And leave some weaker stuff.
Based off that last shot, Phil, it almost looks like she softened her speed even more. And she's a slow looper to start with. But it looked at least a half mile an hour slower.
Once again, that tournament's filling up. The 2013 bowling game, New Year's Day at New Berlin Bowl. A lot of fun. Dwight, I know you'll be there watching the proceedings.
Definitely.
It's a handicap event. It's open to anybody. It's a great charity fundraiser as well for Unite for Peyton, for kids with spinal muscular atrophy, which is just a terrible disease. We hope to help them get a cure for someday. So get to New Berlin Bowl on New Year's Day. Sign up ahead of time. Save yourself $5. Give Landon Karras a call out there to get signed up for the 2013 bowling game.
I'm sure a lot of viewers will be excited, Phil. Bowling game. And its day was just a great show, taped at Red Carpet Regency on 76th and Flores. They had the studio pair there. I tried for years to get a team on there. It wasn't until right before they went off the air I finally got my team on there, and for 4 frames, it was a blast, Phil. Just a blast.
Taking the hard way at that 245. She covers it up nicely. Yeah, I'll try to do my best Lee Rothman that day. The late, great Lee Rothman.
Yep, Tom Cole.
Oh, Tom Cole.
Yep.
You'll have to be Tom Cole that day,
I'll be
I think.
Tom
so.
Cole, but are we going to have to wear a suit and tie?
I don't know. I don't know if I can bring back a Lee Rothman blazer. That's that could be a trip to a thrift store or something nowadays for that. There were some interesting blazers he had on back in the day.
Yes, he did.
And
But, he was styling and profiling for his age in that day. I loved him. He was great.
Yes, he was. And a similar shot to Rochelle's by Roxanne there with a little light hit, and watch on the replay. You throw enough stuff over, the head pin doesn't get to the 7, just right around it.
You can clearly see that she's got the pins dancing. You can clearly see she's got more rotation and turn on the ball, and that's why she's in second place. That's what I thought watching the girls while they were qualifying, is the ones that had the more aggressive ball or the more rotation on the ball would be able to overpower this 40-foot pattern. And really, Kegel considers this a medium lane condition, Phil. They don't consider it a heavy oil condition.
And she's using a new ball, a hammer. It's in the arson line, so new ball, it's just out. She's got a nice reaction. It clears the heads nicely, but she needs to get it turning about just a foot sooner.
Exactly. She's talked to her about it in practice. She's using the hybrid arson. And again, same thing. She said, I'm going to go more direct, which she clearly is. And she felt if that doesn't work, she's going to try the deep purple taboo. So right now she's staying with the hybrid arson. But I agree with you, Phil. She needs to figure out that last 10 feet. Otherwise, she's close.
Yeah,
real close.
Yeah, the second frame she did leak her right, but she's got 3 shots out of 4 in the pocket. And from what we've seen from the ladies so far today, it's tough to get 3 out of 4 in the pocket.
Rochelle does it through the speed. Roxanne does it through the rotation.
So 3.5 frames in the books. Barbier's Italian Inn is always a great sponsor of all of our telecasts on Time Warner Cable Sports 32. And if you're ever on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee or on Blue Mountain Road by Miller Park, make sure you see him for the best garlic bread in town.
Definitely. But bring your appetite.
Yeah, you're not going to leave hungry there, no doubt about that.
Nope.
And that one, she started left from what we've seen her on 26, which is kind of a surprise.
This was the time of the day, Phil, during the qualifying where I caught it was the head-scratching time. These girls just could not figure it out, and they were gutting out the games or grinding out the games at this point, 180s and 190s, hoping for the lane to eventually break down to where it could open up for them. And it took a long time on this pattern, Phil, for the lanes to finally track in or break down.
Yeah, with bowling, we can't see the changes that are going on the lane. You got oil out there, you can't see it. It'd be like if somebody was shooting archery in the Olympics and they didn't have the flags that showed them where the wind is. And they're trying to shoot an arrow 50 yards away and they have no idea which way the wind's coming from. Now, it's impossible to do something like that. That's why bowling sometimes doesn't, I think, get the credibility it needs, because you can't see what's going on with the oil.
That's exactly it. We're bowling on that invincible field. Wouldn't it be a great world, Phil, if we had tinted oil? Then our viewers could even see how the oil changes and how it breaks down. But we don't, so we have to judge our ball reaction to make our adjustments in the sport.
Yeah, and sometimes with the casual viewer, you're not used to seeing what oil or hearing about oil patterns and that type of thing. And I run by people that still think lanes get waxed. So and just kind of
in the 50s.
Yeah, and we do what we can to educate everybody that watches our show, and we appreciate everybody that watches. See what Rochelle can do here, getting into the commercial break. Nice spare conversion. She's keeping herself clean, and she's keeping herself in the lead. 16 pins at this point. We'll be back with the rest of our semifinal match for the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by Red Bull from New Berlin Bowl in just a moment. Back at New Berlin Bowl, 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by Red Bull. And Dwight, we got Roxanne George stepping up. 2 opens early on. She's following up with 2 spares. You think she'd like to find 2 strikes right about now?
Yeah, well, she didn't throw it bad, Phil. To get to this point, she just hasn't got the break set and got away with a real light one. Didn't think it was going to finish, almost like dinner bucket. And then it finally came back, gave her family a yes.
Yeah, she's got her dad in the crowd. She's got her sister Rochelle, her friend Shanna Lubinsky back there as well. She's wearing that Junior Hall of Fame bowling jersey that they had for the tournament this year, the 2012 edition. 96 teams they had for that, Dwight. It was pretty impressive. We did that piece on the show.
Just fantastic turnout, Phil. Liz Johnson came up. It just was a star-studded field. I wish I could have been there to be part of it, but I'm fighting a little shoulder problems right now, so I bowled it every year except for this last year. I wish I could have been part of it this year, but still was down there cheering the kids on and watching the people bowl on it. It was just a great turnout for everyone. And great for bowling.
And once again, lane 25 giving our bowlers fits. What a surprise.
What a surprise. Yeah, and that's when she turned around and looked at her family and put her arms up in the air. I was like, finally, I get a strike. And then unfortunately the sad reality, she got to come back in the next lane and right back to the struggles again of trying to get the ball reaction.
And well, it reacted that time, but unfortunately right past the 5-pin and
cross alley.
There you go. 28 pins in her ears right now to Rochelle Blake. And boy, Jamie Cullen's just got to be on that practice pair, just licking her chops right now because she's got the speed and the revs to match. Either one of these players, she can adjust it a little bit if she's got to slow it down. She can pick up the revs if she's got to keep up with Roxanne. So
I would not want to be around Roxanne right now because she knows she's better than this. But right now, it's just not getting the breaks to get it turned around. And there's going to probably be her first open by Rochelle on a fairly good throw.
And she went back to the ball she used in the previous match. She looks like she went back to that game breaker.
Yep, she made another ball choice, correct.
And just watch that ball. Wow, that definitely had no deflection issues there. And you can see she knows that ball's a little high in the pocket, and just the reaction of, you gotta be kidding me.
At this point, Phil, did you almost look at it as like, okay, I got the dice in my hand, I'm going to blow on it, I'm going to just roll the dice and see what happens? Obviously, that's a lot of ball changes now. She's gone through 3 ball changes in 2.5 games, Phil. I mean, that's a lot of ball changes to try to find that ball reaction, or do you just try to stay with one?
I think for Rochelle right now, because she had such a big lead, trying to stay clean.
Test the waters.
Yeah, I think testing waters may not have been the best thing there. She had a decent reaction with that red and Matrix, orange ball. Yeah. And I understand it wasn't carrying real well, but she was filling frames. She had 5 spares in a row before that open.
Correct.
And now she's
back-to-back opens still.
Yeah, unless she gets a miracle on this, bouncing the 4 or the 7 out of the pit. But yeah, I think she's kind of kicking herself in that ball change again. And she's the only one in that deep, so that Matrix could have taken enough oil off the inside part of her line.
As a bowler, you're probably thinking at this point, is 8 spare, 9 spare, 7 spare, 8 spare going to win it for me? Because the problem is, we all know Roxanne can light it up at any point. With the rotation and turn she puts on the ball, was sparing it to death going to win the match? And maybe that's why she gambled.
And now, 28 pins when Rochelle stepped up, and she knocked herself down to only a 3-pin lead.
3 pins.
The good news is that Roxanne's working on an open, so the lead can't extend yet, depending on what Roxanne can do here. And that's just left out of her hand. And that was a 2-board missed tops. And you can see, charges hard on 26. You know where it's going to charge and break. And she doesn't seem surprised with a bad shot that she left the 4-7.
Yeah, probably feels fortunate because she know it wasn't a good quality, crisp shot. And she did miss a little left to get away with not leaving the 10-pin there and having to shoot for the 4-7-10, just the 4-7. What she struggled with, Phil, up to this point, though, is spare shooting. So now she finally got a spare on the board, but she's had a lot of opens so far this game.
Yeah, 2 spares and 3 opens before that with 1 strike. Now she has her 3rd spare on the board. So we always talk with our high school matches about how important filling frames is.
Yes.
Even with close matches, even if they're low-scoring matches, marks matter.
And again, the lanes are playing, Phil, exactly how they played during qualifying. I mean, the transition has been ugly for these girls so far from that first game where the girls got pretty good ball reaction. Another one right through the heart, Phil.
And that one, once again, slightly left the target. And you can tell both bowlers, they feel confident when they get up on 26 and they're moving to 25, and it's like, what do I got to do to get a strike here?
Correct. I think, the person that figures out 25 the first is going to be the person that's going to end up winning this match or winning the whole tournament.
So stays with her strike ball, going to hook back at that 3-pin.
Wow.
Can Roxanne get any worse breaks on big splits so far? Well, the second frame wasn't a split, it was a super washout. 6 went around the 10. That time she has a great attempt at that conversion on the 3-4, 6-7, and the 3-pin goes right in front of the 4-7.
I'm glad we're about 40 feet away from her, Phil.
I'm sure they're both muttering under their breath right now.
Correct.
No doubt about that. And Rochelle steps up again. She finds herself in position to get a couple of marks on the board and maybe even a double and really take control of this match.
Staying with that same ball, Phil, and not getting good ball reaction. Oh, I bet you she's going to look back in this and tell herself, I should have stayed with that Matrix.
Yeah, maybe just bumped a little farther left with her feet or right with her target. And it's such a gut feeling you have to go with it right now, because you know you're going to be in a grind out. And you know it's not going to be who strings the most strikes together. It's who doesn't open as many frames.
Right, and we talked about that the last match on those 10 frames, even though it's 10 frames, how short it seems when you're up on that approach, that it only seems like 2 or 3 frames and the game is over. It happens so quick.
Well, 19 pin lead right now for Rochelle Blake. 2 frames to go. 188 is her maximum right now. Roxanne George's maximum, 169.
Yeah, it's another one of those matches, Phil. I don't want it, you can have it. Nope, I don't want it, you can have it. And boy, it's been a pattern like that now for the last couple matches.
That looks pretty good off her hand. That is surprising to me, because that looked pretty good off her hand. I can't believe that ball bit that hard and 4 through the middle. You expect Wes Malott to do that. Yeah. You don't expect Rochelle Blake to do that. I mean, that's just...
Well, here's the thing, Phil. She loses count. You know, and
on
now
a spare, you're right.
On a spare, and now you have an almost impossible spare to make. You could maybe make it on a house shot, but the outsides are going to be oily. How are you going to get that ball light enough on the 3-6 to throw it into the 4-7
and still take out the 9 pin in the back?
Can be tough.
Which is a bigger problem. And yeah, take the 4 and run on that one. Do your little salute to Hammer and Hank Aaron there with the 4 and 4 in the 9th.
Yeah. The girls are talking. What do you have to do?
And and the amazing part about that now is Rochelle's maximum. We just said it was going to be in the 180s. She's down to 160.
Yeah.
Roxanne George can strike out and win.
You talked about it the whole game, how she couldn't get a break. Phil, she's getting the breaks by just sitting on the bench.
And a big trip for there. She made a little bit of a move with her feet in, it looked like.
And foundation frame too, Phil.
So
big strike there, where Rochelle opened in the 9th.
Yep.
Now she kind of almost sets her own destiny for the 10th, Phil.
Well,
on 25, which she hasn't struck all game on.
So if she goes spare, we're assuming she's going to go spare. If she goes spare 9, she's going to be at 149, which means that Rochelle would have to mark in order to pass her. We could actually have a really good chance of a tie in this match. That's a little farther right than she's been all match, and she found the ball reaction to get it to come back.
Yeah, it looks to me like she moved right with her feet, tried to get it maybe around first arrow or fourth board, and the ball actually had a little bit of, look how far out she was, and it actually turned up to the pocket. So just like that, Phil, she might have found something in one shot. Well, but this is the big one here.
Yeah, this is pretty much locking up the match. This will get her into the 160s if she strikes. Otherwise, Rochelle Blake can get up off the bench and have a chance to win.
Wow. There's a pro right there.
That is clutch.
Yep. There is a pro right there. To be lost the whole game, you got the match and the title on the line going into the finals next game, and you just flush it straight back.
2 pins gets her into the championship match against Jaime Cullen. 2 former Badger Queens winners, Jaime in 2007.
Girls from Illinois completely locked out for the finals.
Yeah,
maybe all Wisconsin final.
Roxanne won it in 2009.
That's our winner.
Jaime, our defending champion from last year. So we have a chance for a repeat champion or a first-time champion for the Wisconsin Women's Open. And the other repeat champion we could have had today, Rochelle Blake, going home with 3rd place money and $350 and a 2-ball tote bag, courtesy of our friends at 900 Global.
Nice. But it's a one shot, Phil, where she's completely lost the whole game. She gets away with that wally on that first one of the 10th, finds something, and then flushes the next 2. It's unbelievable.
It's going to be a great championship match coming to you from New Berlin Bowl for the Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by Red Bull. We're going to get out of this match since it's been decided, and we'll be back from New Berlin Bowl with that championship match in just a moment. You can't leave now. You got to stay tuned. In 1993, the bowling game disappeared from the Wisconsin airwaves, never to be heard from again. Until now. For one day only, New Year's Day, New Berlin Bowl, the 2013 bowling game. Go to newberlinalehouse.com/bowling or call 262-641-0016 to get all the details on the 2013 bowling game.
The Jewelry Center, the largest camellia retailer in Wisconsin, has upgraded to a camellia boutique. Find a greater selection of the latest styles of beads, bracelets, and earrings. Only at the Jewelry Center on Layton at 76th Street in the Layton Plaza.
Well, bowling fans, you waited all day for it. The championship match here from the 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by our friends at Red Bull. Dwight, Battle of Titans here. Previous Badger Queens champions. Jamie's been waiting in the wings all day. She was the champion of our Wisconsin Women's Open last year, and something tells me that it's going to take a little bit more than the 170 last match to win this. And well, I guess if you're going to start tripping strikes like that, you can get the score up there in a hurry.
All of a sudden, Phil, lost on 25, found on 25. That's now, if I've added correctly, that's 4 in a row on 25. Yeah. But you're right, heavyweights here. No doubt about it. I was going to start the sound effects of boom, boom, boom. And you're going to say, what's that? That's 2 heavyweights going at it. And you can't get any stronger heavyweights than these 2, that's for sure. Yeah,
Jamie, our defending champion. I mean, every time we have our trios tournament with the 2 men and a lady out there, she's on those as well. And talk about an opposite start there.
Yes.
Roxanne goes a little high, trips a 4, dead flush in the pocket for Jamie, and of course it leaves a solid 8 pin.
Right. Welcome to number 1.
Yeah. So
can't throw anything better than that.
She knows she threw a good shot. You just see the little bit of the painful smirk on the face. And it's time to just move on and make the spare because there's nothing else you can do about it.
You can really tell, Phil, she is trying to slow loop the lane, trying to take that same philosophy as Rochelle. She's got a very, very short push away, very short backswing height. She's trying to keep her speed down. She knows they're tight.
Yeah, she's using a 900 global, sure thing out there as well. So something that's just going to, a nice early roll on this pattern, have a little heavier oil.
She threw it in practice, again, and stayed with it, even though now there's been some lineage on it. The lanes are starting to transition and break down.
Now her first shot on lane 25. And she doesn't get the same break that Roxanne got by tripping that 4-pin out. Yeah. But you can't be disappointed right now because she's seen every bowler struggle on that lane, and she got to the pocket on her very first attempt.
You're right, Phil. And the biggest thing is she's around the pocket. I mean, the other girls up to this point haven't even been close. Roxanne was the first one out of 3 that finally got it around the pocket, and it took her to the 10th frame to get it. So Jamie coming out of the gate with 2 balls around the pocket, 2 possible strikes. Good start, Phil.
Yep. I mean, spare. Great way to start a match. You're filling frames. The worst you're going to be behind is if Roxanne doubles here, is if you're behind 11 pins going on. And we've seen much bigger holes so far today coming out of the gates early.
Yeah, Phil, Jamie said during qualifying that, and the lanes are real similar to what they are now, is that she wanted to keep her feet slow, which you can clearly see. She wanted to keep her ball speed slow, and you can clearly see that. But these are the games, Phil, that she really struggled with when I was watching her, even though she did have 220 the first game. But then she comes in game 5 and game 6, Phil, and she shoots 248, 247, I believe, to go 95 over for the last 2 games to be our top qualifier into the semis.
Yeah, 1262 I believe she finished at, so right about a 210 average for qualifying after she found the line the last 2 games. And
so it shows you, though, going into game 5 and 6, she was barely at the cut line.
Exactly, and the girls knew all day. I mean, it was make spares. The cut lines moved very little from game to game. It always stayed at about a 195 average to make the top 10, and bowlers would move in, bowlers would fall out, and a lot of times it was on the basis of a missed spare here, a missed spare there, and bowlers that were in 11th and 12th place were moving up to 7th or 8th place.
Exactly. When they got to the semis and they went into the match play aspect of it, all of a sudden that outside line turned into almost third arrow with a slight swing. So it was interesting to see how they bumped in immediately after they saw that the outsides were drying up.
And I think Rox may need to bump in just a hair there because she almost left the 4-9. Got that 2-pin to come off the wall and take the 4 out.
She's still around the pocket, Phil, where she wasn't the last game, so it's going to keep her in the match by leaving just 9 counts and making those spares.
Yeah, both bowlers so far, I mean, Jamie only with 1 shot, but both bowlers have found something on the left lane, so we might see 200 this last game, Dwight, where we've only seen that once so far today.
Correct. And again, they're seasoned, they're educated, they know their equipment, Phil. And this isn't the first time they bowled on Abbey Road. This isn't the first time they bowled on a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio. So they know what they have to do. Volume and obviously how it's applied. They know how they have to make their adjustments with their equipment.
And a nice carry on that light mixing strike there to stay even in the match. But Jamie has an opportunity here to get a double and take a 10-pin lead. And just watch that ball scramble up. 4, 5, 7 go away.
And remember, Phil, that could have been the first 3. Bad break in the first one, a little high in the second one, leaving the 4-pin, but she realistically could have the front 3.
Nice post. Hand just past the ear on the follow-through. And I think that was just a little on the speed side there, Dwight. She got a little quick with it.
Or to me, Phil, it looked like she missed a touch, and I mean just a touch right. And for whatever reason, that sure thing was no sure thing on that one. It didn't want to come back. But all the girls that missed a little right of target, especially 25, Phil, it didn't want to come back. So 25 is still lingering in its ugly head. No doubt about it. And she's playing farther in than Rox. And there's overcorrection.
She just was not happy. You could hear her say, "Oh, come on, Jamie," when that was coming off of her hand. So that was definitely a timing issue there. That wasn't a targeting or anything like that. You could just see, just
read
not comfortable.
Yeah, she knew right away.
Yeah.
But you're right. We both heard her say it. Come on, Jamie. She knows. She knew she missed her mark. But again, that's a big open for Rox. You got to jump all over it. Strikes are a premium.
Long extension on that follow through, and
that's how you're supposed to jump all over it. Driver's seat early for Roxanne. You just can't have an open fill. It's as simple as that. You got to fill frames on this.
Yeah. I mean, Roxanne inducted in the State Hall of Fame and the Milwaukee Women's Bowling Association Hall of Fame in 2011. I'll tell you what, Jamie gets a couple more years under her belt. There are a couple of years in age difference, but Jamie gets a couple more years under her belt. She's going to join Roxanne in both those Hall of Fames. There's no doubt about that.
And we sit in the opening. The cream rises to the top, Phil. Obviously, you look at the two heavyweights at the top. Beautiful double.
A great shot to get into the commercial break with. Roxanne George takes a 22-pin lead, and we'll be back with the rest of our championship match for the Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned.
If you like Camilio Pandora, you'll love Ticento Milano, the hottest jewelry fashion in Europe. Luxurious, fashionable, affordable. Ticento Milano this Christmas, only at the Jewelry Center on Layton at 76th Street in the Layton Plaza.
Well, the tide's turned in the 4th and 5th frames here in our championship match for the Wisconsin Women's Open presented by Red Bull. Roxanne George just got herself a double, and Jamie Cullen stepping back up, and she's working on an unfortunate open.
I don't think Roxanne, Phil, ever lost what she found in the 10th frame of the last game. It's just execution of shots now. I think she's really got a look. She knows she's got maybe a board or two of miss area, and if she gets comfortable there, watch out. Jamie, better find something quick. This one, she's still in the match mathematically, but I'm looking at ball reaction, And so she did find it early in the game. She's now lost it the last couple frames.
Yeah, that one slightly right of target.
Again.
And it's just not going to come back with the amount of oil that's on the outside of the lane today.
Again, I'm watching the girls bowling. Again, the thing that keeps going through my head is more surface, more surface, more surface, more ball. It's just you got to get it to kind of hook back a little bit more from the outsides, especially if they're going to try to make that outside shot work, which they're both trying to do.
And bowlers don't even need to worry about, they need to worry about surface not just on tough conditions like this, but they should know surface when they bowl on their house shots as well, as Jamie throws a great strike there.
Must strike, must need it, especially Roxanne's lined up. Got to throw a little pressure back at Roxanne, make her make the mistake, and she did. Great shot.
So bouncing back on that left lane, the bugaboo for all the bowlers today, no doubt about that. And Roxanne George working on a double, looking for her turkey here today. Once again, a nice hinge on that downswing into the backswing.
Beautiful.
10 back.
Yeah,
3 in a row. Have we seen any other 3 in a row? We saw one in the opening match with Rochelle Blake, and we saw one by Roxanne, obviously a 4-bagger, at the end of the last game in the 9th and 10th frames to get her to this match.
Amazing what good ball motion will give you for confidence and for scores. Obviously, if you get good ball reaction, boy, does that arm swing become freer. Absolutely. And then, obviously, if your arm swing's free, you'll hit what you're aiming at.
Nice long follow through.
And that one, 4.
Yeah, that
could have been 4.
Yeah, I think it was just a hair quick through. I think a
bit.
little more oil, not necessarily oil, but we've seen that ball carry long on 25 all day. You could see right there, just in a pickup, right through the 9-pin spot, and not enough drive.
This is the first time all day, Phil, we've seen fill in frames. We've seen avoid the big splits, and on pace for a good 200 game. So she's doing what she has to do so far to win.
But there's still 3 frames to go, and as we saw last match,
anything can happen.
2 frames, Rochelle Blake had a 28-pin lead go down to 2 pins. So things can change in a big hurry here. If Jamie can double here,
it's a new match. Absolutely. It's not over until it's over, Phil.
Looks nice out of her hand.
Beautiful.
And she just tightened that one up as compared to the 2 pins she left before.
Well, the difference is she went more parallel with the board. She didn't have that 1 or 2 board swing area. And as coaches, we always try to teach the students today to project the ball a little to the right, and that's today's game. But there is also times that you must go very parallel with the boards. And great throw there.
Action Heating and Cooling, you just saw the sponsor slide there. Next tournament, the Action Shootout from Motion Plus Lanes. You'll see that over the Christmas and New Year's time frame on Time Warner Sports 32, and wow, that was just a mess. Well, no other way to put it, really.
Look at the lane, number 1, 25, and what happened, Phil? She got it a couple boards right. Just what we were talking about, that you need to go parallel with the boards. She went away from the boards, what you do on a house pattern, and that pretty much is going to be the match right there.
Yeah, no little problem with coming through on that spare ball there, and only getting one, losing a bunch of count on a double, and 41 pins, and you have 2 shots left for the 197 max.
She gets a strike there, then it's a real tight game. But I always say the 9th frame is the foundation for Jaime. That was definitely the 8th, and she knows that mathematically it's almost over.
Yeah, she went back to talk to her friend Jenny Wonders, of course, Rich Wonders' daughter from Hillside Lanes in Racine, and Jenny bowled today. Didn't do as well as she liked, but glad she hung around for the finals here, cheering Jaime on. And Roxanne's got her cheering section back there with her sister and Shannon Lubinsky, her dad, friends, and a lot of the ladies stuck around today that didn't even make the first cut, and they're sticking around watching. So we appreciate the fans sticking around today.
And they're all breathing a sigh of relief, especially in Roxanne George's corner. Obviously, they know that she's going to just cruise to the title here, but she bowled a great game. She kept the ball around the pocket. So far, all 9 shots, 9th frame. So kept herself out of trouble. Jaime didn't bowl a bad game. Didn't start off some very good breaks at all. And a couple of very costly opens, Phil.
Yeah, that 4th frame kind of set the tone. 4th frame.
8th frame.
Jaime opens, and then Roxanne comes with striking the 4th, striking the 5th before the commercial break, and what more can you do?
Yeah.
And you can see there, Jaime sets it up again on 26, not a problem. So
totally different match if Jaime strikes in the 8th. Totally different. And this could go down a nail biter right to the end.
So I want to thank our friends at the Jewelry Center again. Roxanne George is going to be walking out of here not just with that $800, but with that diamond heart pendant with $500 thanks to our friends at the Jewelry Center. Jaime going to be taking home, it's kind of ironic, she's going to be taking home a 900 Global Sure Thing bowling ball along with her $500 in cash.
Really different.
Yep. And she just wanted to thank all of her friends at NF Midwest for those with neurofibromatosis. Her son Hunter has been having issues with that. Her husband Patrick's on the board. They do a lot of fundraising for that.
Great.
Check out NF Midwest for all the information on that fine charity.
Well, last 2 years though, Phil, she's been in the final both years. One year as a winner.
3 years.
3 years, I'm sorry. And then obviously this is a 2nd place. So not all too bad.
Yeah, 2 seconds and a first.
Yeah.
And ironic, last year first place was $500. This year second place is $500. So she's making the same amount of money, but she's not getting the gold hardware in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah. Didn't bowl a bad game. She bowled better than the 175 shown. Just 2 big costly opens.
What do they call this? The victory lap?
Yep.
So she'll be taking the victory lap.
Great position to be in. You know you got it won no matter what you do. This is just Coast City. Yep. Coast to the win. That's right. So make good shots. Finish it out good.
We're in that Junior Hall of Fame jersey. Bet there's going to be a lot of people asking for those after watching her bowl that good last game. It's got to be the shirt. Well, maybe not. Maybe not just the shirt.
Or the hybrid arson.
That could be it.
Or how do you get the rotation and turn on the ball, Roxanne? Because I'd like to do that same thing that you do.
Or her coach, Bill Mons. Or, there's so many factors that go into getting into the game that all these bowlers on TV had today. The coaching, the equipment knowledge, the practice, everything. And for Roxanne, for all 5 bowlers today, honestly, it paid out. It just paid off a little bit more right now in the end for Roxanne, taking home that $800 first place prize and that champion's pendant from the Jewelry Center.
Biggest thing, Phil, is all 11 shots, because obviously the spare shot here don't count. All in the pocket. She kept her ball around the pocket's gonna probably shoot 236, 237 here, 237 with the spare, all in the pocket.
What a great final match. Exciting. Oh, here comes her niece out for the big hug for the victory. 237 to 175. Roxanne George is your 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open, presented by Red Bull winner, and Dwight and I will be back to wrap this up in just a moment.
Barbieres, a Milwaukee institution since 1963.
Great Italian food for dine-in or carry-out, and great times for your family and friends. Barbiere's in the heart of South Milwaukee and near Miller Park on Blue Mound Road. The Milwaukee area's bowling party specialist, whether for a small group or a large fundraiser. Daily food and beverage specials, whether you're on the lanes or inside the spacious alehouse. Whether for a casual meeting, business luncheon, or wedding reception, our banquet and meeting facilities can fit your needs. New Berlin Ale House, West Cleveland Avenue, New Berlin. All bowling fans, you got to watch us struggle on the lanes all day. Tough lane condition out there. A couple of former Badger Queens champions in that last match. Last year's champion of the Wisconsin Women's Open, Jaime Cullen, fought her as good as she could, but Roxanne George comes out on top. Landon Karras coming out here, manager at New Berlin Entertainment Center. What do you got for Roxanne for winning the tournament today?
Well, I got a 14-karat gold pendant from the Jewelry Center and $800 cash.
Nothing better than that. I'll let you slide in here to give that nice award to her.
Congratulations. You're welcome.
And, of course, the best part, earmarked for the kids' college fund already, I'm sure. Just a lot of mental struggles all day on the lanes. What did you do to get through? You had to get through 11 games out here today. What did you do to just get through it?
Well, I played this pattern before, and I knew this pattern plays pretty tight. So the only thing I kept telling myself all day was just stay clean, fill frames, and I wasn't going to get 250 out there today, and I was okay with 200, and that got me through to the finals.
Got a question, Dwight?
Yeah, for Roxanne, a battle of emotions out there. You go into the 10th frame of the semifinal match. You need the first two to shut her out. You get through that part of it, and then you make looked like a huge change, or you just threw the ball better, got better ball reaction the last game, and then you cruise to the win with a 237 game, or whatever the last game was in the 230s. What did you do between the two games?
Well, the right lane, or the left lane here, sorry, that was strange, and I kept getting a lot of under-over on it. And the only thing I told myself to do in the 10th frame was just slow down the ball speed a little bit, let the ball read the lane a little bit more, and it got me the 3 strikes, and after that I could just kind of put the shoulders down and relax a little bit, and there really wasn't much of a difference after that for the final match, but it was really controlling that left lane and slowing down my ball speed a little bit.
Yeah, Rochelle Blake came off after the semifinal match and said that was one of the most impressive things she's seen with adjusting to the lane 25 and getting those 3 strikes in the 10th.
After not striking the whole game, Phil.
Absolutely. Our 2012 Wisconsin Women's Open by Red Bull champion, Roxanne George. I'm sure you'll be back to defend next year.
Oh, I'll be back next year.
A great first place prize, $800. Thanks to Red Bull for sponsoring that prize. The nice 14-karat gold pendant from the Jewelry Center on 76th and Layton. Please give them a visit during this holiday season for your jewelry needs. And for my friend Dwight Albrecht, I'm Phil Brylow. When parents take the kids bowling, they'll have fun for life. We'll see you on our next show, coming to you from Motion Plus Lanes, the Action Shootout.